When one thinks of Christmas time during war, people often think of the celebrations and truces that were called during the early years of World War I, a time where humanity showed during eras of horrific warfare and violence. With stories like these, the often forgotten or passed over events that unfolded in World War II would prevent such truces ever being called, resulting in the war continuing throughout Christmas. Such events would give birth to a lesser-known story. With Germany launching the biggest counteroffensive of the war just 9 days before Christmas in 1944, the probability of a Christmas truce, like what was seen in World War I, was completely off the table. The counteroffensive would result in the famous Battle of the Bulge that would continue throughout Christmas Day with intense fighting. Despite the high cost of the battle, humanity emerged through a previously undocumented account from the war. Nicknamed the Truce in the Forest, a smaller truce would be drawn between a few Americans and Germans in a small cottage in the Hurtgen Forest. Taken from the first-hand witness of Fritz, a 12-year-old boy at the time, would document his mother and his experience when unexpectedly 3 American soldiers showed up at their door. On Christmas Eve in 1944, 3 Americans, Jim, Robin, and Harry, who was injured, showed up at the Vinken cottage after being lost for 3 days while looking for U.S. forces and trying to avoid German patrols. Miss Vinken would accept these men in her home as she saw them as just boys, wanting to take care of them. She began to cook potatoes for them, but as she did, there was a second knock on the door. 4 men dressed in gray uniforms Fritz would identify as Wehrmacht, separated from their unit, asking for shelter until daybreak. His mother, much like the way she accepted the Americans in open arms, did the same with the Germans as well. However, she warned them that they were already housing people that they might not agree with. This statement would quickly alarm the German soldiers. What came next would resonate with the ideals of humanity and compassion amid its darkest war. Fritz's mother exclaimed, "Listen, you could be my sons, and so could they in there. A boy with a gunshot wound fighting for his life, and his 2 friends, lost like you and just as hungry and exhausted as you are. This one night, this Christmas night, let us forget about killing." Showing compassion for the young soldiers, the oldest out of all of them being only 23, the Germans and Americans would leave their arms at the door. As the night progressed, the 2 groups would share bread, wine, and other foods. Relaxation would take over, separating the soldiers from the war and bringing a peace of mind. Towards the end of the night, the group would join together outside to view the Bethlehem star. Fritz claims that this very star, the brightest in the sky, would make the war a distant, almost forgotten thing. When morning came, the 2 groups would part, both headed to find their respective armies. While this event was not as well documented as any other event like the truce during World War I, there is actually a short film that was made in the 60s or 70s on this. While it wasn't the most accurate as to the actual story that Fritz had narrated, it still acts as a symbol showing humanity in a war that claimed millions of lives. Leaving me on a bit more of a somber note, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys also have an amazing Christmas, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.